Hi, this is Vonnie Rivera with Pray Ask Gifts, and we are on a mission to age the way God says we can over this challenge. And today is day 4 of our challenge. Yesterday we looked at my mom, who had fulfilled a lifelong dream to get her PhD when she was 75. Now I should mention that is not my lifelong dream. You can't take other people's dreams. My dream was just to get through college and get a job. But she wanted a PhD. She got it when she was 75. Today we're going to look at Moses, another person who had a lifelong dream, and how that came to fulfillment. So most of you know the story of Moses. He was a Jewish boy. His sister put him in a basket. The Egyptian princess found him. She took him home. She raised him as her own son. So he grew up in the house of Pharaoh. But he always had a heart for his people, the Jewish people. And one day, when he was about 40 years old, he saw them being mistreated. They were slaves at the time, and he saw one of them being beaten by an Egyptian man. Well, Moses didn't like that, and he killed the Egyptian man. So even though he had a heart to try to free and help his people, he didn't go about it quite in the right way. So it got around that he had done this. He had to flee. He fled to a foreign country, married someone over there, and worked for her dad, tending the sheep. So we saw that David was also tending sheep. So I guess tending sheep is one of the ways God trains his leaders. And he was there for about 40 years. Then one day he saw a bush burning. He went over to check it out, and it was God. God who told him, hey, you're on holy ground, take off your sandals. And God began to tell Moses how Moses' dream to free the Israelites lined up with God's dream. God also wanted to free the Israelites from the bondage they were experiencing. So that was a dream that God had put in his heart. And Moses, even though he felt the dream, he tried to fulfill it on his own. But now it was time for him to fulfill it with God. But he had had a bad experience the first time around and didn't really want to do it. So he began making excuse after excuse after excuse. Oh, I'm not very good at talking to people. They won't believe me if I go. Finally, he just said, God, please send someone else. And that actually made God angry. So, all in all, we can understand why Moses might not have wanted to go back into Egypt, but he did. And as you know the story, he led the Israelites out of Egypt, and he took them into the wilderness, where they wandered around for another 40 years. And 40 seems to be a recurring number in this story. As I understand it, indicates completeness. So he's wandering around, and a lot of you know the story too, that Moses didn't get to go to the promised land with the Israelites. And a lot of people feel bad for Moses because he didn't get to do that. But Moses did get to fulfill his lifelong dream. And looking at it from a New Testament perspective, Moses really symbolizes the law. The law's never going to get any of us into the promised land. Joshua, who finally led the Israelites into the promised land, interestingly enough, his name is Yeshua in Hebrew, which is also the name of Jesus. Jesus will get you into the promised land every time. So don't feel bad for Moses. He fulfilled his lifelong dream. But right now we want to stop and think, what is your lifelong dream? Do you have something that maybe you tried earlier in life that didn't work out, but it's still on your heart and you're just waiting for God to give you a go-ahead and to fulfill that dream? So that's our task today. Identify the dream that you have in your heart. Ask God, what is the next step? And be sure he's with you in it. I know we can fulfill our lifelong dreams. So thank you so much, and we will be back tomorrow with day 5 of our challenge. Let me just see what day 5 is. Oh, we're going to begin looking at strength tomorrow. That's something else he's promised us in Psalm 92. So come back tomorrow and we'll talk more about strength. Thank you.